Hi everyone. Up next we have Manisha Chougule, and she's going to be talking about some really aspects on cybersecurity and her journey towards cybersecurity. So let me just give it away to her, and she's going to talk about that.
Hello everyone, I'm Manisha Chougule and I am director at DiverSec 360. First of all, I would like to thank the organization, the event organization team for giving me this opportunity to talk with all of you. So I have around 30 years of IT experience spanning all facets of IT and cybersecurity. I started my career as a software developer and I have worked on various technologies and various domain like banking domain, enterprise content management application, business process and management, and many more bespoke application development. Since last few years, I have been working on cybersecurity field. So, application security is very close to my heart. So today I'm going to talk about the application security, moving from software development life cycle to secure software development life cycle. So with digitization and automation, organizations are either buying or developing more applications than ever before. So these applications are the low hanging fruit for adversaries to perform the cyber attack. So custom facing web applications or custom facing applications, they are at the higher security risk. 44% of the organization have experienced the application compromises in the past, and application attack is one of the common cause for the data breaches. It has been also observed that 75% of critical vulnerabilities are application related. So, for any organization, if they want to secure their digital data, they have to secure their network, their hardware, and their software. So, we have seen that organizations are, you know, spending billions of dollars in securing their network and their hardware. They are having very high-end firewall, or they are having endpoint protection solutions. But what about the application security? What about the software security? If you see, application layer is the uh, defender for the databases, but our organization really putting sufficient money or sufficient effort to securing this application? In fact, we have observed that lack of visibility into web perimeter, number of public facing application and API and endpoints for many organizations. I mean, they don't know how many their applications are publicly facing, what are their APIs and endpoints. While doing the security assessment, we come across so many endpoints where there is no automation, there is no authorization and authentication being happen. You just type the URL and you can access the data through that endpoint. So basically, application layer is really, not at all secure for many application. So even it has been noticed that reactive approach is followed for application security, and there is no proactive or systematic approach being followed when it comes to the application security. So what is the conclusion? Conclusion here is application security is always afterthought. Okay, now here I have come across few statistics and I thought, to share with you all. So these statistics are, 22 statistics. And here you can see the statistic regarding security attacks against applications. So around 31% organization think malware is the main reason for their security attack on their application. 23% think that distributed denial of service is the cause. 21% think that application misconfiguration is one of the leading cause for the attack. 20% organization think that stolen credential, either through social media breaches or whatever, those are the main cause for the application security attack, while 18% thinks that the software which has been used to build the application, so vulnerabilities in that software is the cause for the application security attack, while 70% thinks that the brute force is the main reason for the attack. So if you look at all the causes of the security attack against the application, somewhere they can be taken if organization follow the secure software development lifecycle. If the organization consider security at very early stage of the software application development lifecycle. Now I will share you another statistic, very interesting. Okay, so there will question us, when do the organization start looking into the security aspect of the application during the application lifecycle? And to your and my surprise, only 15% organizations are considering security during the planning phase of the application. And almost 50% organization perform the security assessment during the testing of the application, while 23% organization perform security assessment during the product release phase. Now, just think, your product is at the testing phase, you have a go live date, and if you find a very, very critical security vulnerability in your application, that will affect entire design of your application. Just think what kind of efforts will require to close or to fix the security issue, and how it will affect the release date of or a go live date of your product. So now let's again see one of the interesting study from OWASP. So if you can see top, you can see the application development life cycle phases. I mean, you have analysis, requirement gathering or discovery, design, implementation, test, deployment, and maintenance. These are the phases of your product or a software development life cycle. And this red line indicates the works encountered during these phases, and the yellow line indicates the cost of fixing those issues. So here you can see that if the bugs or issues are found at the early stage of the product or application development, the cost for fixing those issues is very, very less. But as we move to the development of, the as we move the next phases of the software development life cycle, okay, the the cost required to fix those issues are very high. So in case if you find any security vulnerability or gap at the maintenance phase, then the cost in terms of manpower and man hours, to resolve that issue is very, very high. So this is a challenge, The challenge here is that if you find the bugs at the later stage of your development, your cost will be very high. Then how to find the issues at the early stage of the development? Then The solution there is the SSDLC. So according to the industry's so-called expert, they think that security needs to be considered from the day one of the project initiation. The security has to be shifted to the leftmost phase of the software development life cycle. So you have to start gathering the security requirement of your application at the discovery or requirement phase. And as you move through the development life cycle, at each stage you need to check the security requirement of your application. So basically, secure software development life cycle is nothing but embedding security within your software development life cycle. Okay. So when you start your journey for building the secure software development life cycle or building that culture within your organization, the first thing that you need to do, you to check what is the application security maturity. Okay, so ideally there are four stages or four level of application security maturity. The first level is called no security awareness. So in that stage, the organization is not aware about the security of application. They are not performing any security testing. There are no policies, nothing. So absolutely security is not their cup of tea. But if you move, then you can find out some organization doing reactive security analysis. So organization takes ad hoc approach in application security. Okay, so this ad hoc approach is driven by the need of, this is driven by the need to comply the security to comply with the security standard, industry standard. Okay, or it is a request from customer for the security attestation of the application. So when this kind of need comes, organization take reactive measure. And what they do perform the security assessment, close all the issues, and then give that certificate to the customer or meet that compliance. So basically, at the organization who are at reactive security maturity, they are having the awareness about the security. They are having the basic level of security awareness. They are having tools and security awareness that reside outside their software development cycle. That means those tools are not integrated with the software development life cycle. The tools are not integrated with IDE of which is used by the development team, and they perform some kind of manual security testing. But this is a reactive security, and you will find many organizations following reactive security. Now the next level of security maturity is called proactive security. In case of proactive security, you will find some level of automation in SDLC. I mean, you will also find that there are stakeholders being identified, and they have developed some policies, standard operating procedure to perform the application security. They are also using tools for doing the automated testing. They are having in-house manual testing tool. They also conduct the developers training on secure coding and practices. But the main problem is that they do not address the fundamental challenges of scale, speed, and cost. The last, application security maturity state is a sustained security maturity. So the organization who are coming under this maturity state, they are having comprehensive framework for application security. They are having comprehensive framework for application security, and they manage the application security in more holistic and integrated way. Their their aim is to 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 assess the each and the every line of the code being developed within the organization. So they are having security as a part of their SDLC. They are having dedicated enterprise level function who is responsible for application security. They perform various checkpoints and toll gates for security assessment. And their development team or developer, they take the responsibility of testing and fixing the security related issues, so that their so-called security team can concentrate more on maturing their security processes and maturing their the entire security assessment process. So these kind of maturity leads to more cost effective model and deliver significant better protection. So any organization who are going for SSDLC, they need to first thing they need to do is to check the application security maturity for their organization. The next important thing they need to they that they need to have buy-in for those department or a function who are going to be part of SSDLC. So there are four main business function. From the buying is very important. So those business function are, first, the governance, which is nothing but the quality department. Second is the construction team, that is our development team. Third is a verification, so this is basically testing and the review team. And fourth one is the development team. So the governance team needs to concentrate on three security practices. First, they should have policies and compliances. Okay, they should have the strategy and matrices to measure the success of the application security program, and they should have a solid plan for educating the developer or employees on security awareness and giving them guidance. So these are the three main security practices the governance or the software quality team needs to follow. Okay, next comes the construction team. So for construction team, they need to make sure that they are gathering the security requirement of the application. It could be PCI, or it could be GDPR, or maybe RBI compliance, whatever, or PDP, whatever. They need to make sure that they are capturing the security requirement of the application at the requirement or discovery phase of the application. Second thing, while designing the architecture, they have to take into consideration the security and build the secure architecture. And third thing, they have to do the threat assessment of their entire attack surface. So these are the three important practices or three important areas the development team needs to work. Next come the verification, that is the testing phase. The testing or testing department. So they should be doing the design reviews, code reviews, in perspective of security should be performed, and there should be security testing Okay, so this security testing can be automated or manual in any way, but it has to be performed. And the last function is a deployment function, that is nothing but our ops or the operation function. So they need to make sure that they have vulnerability management in place. They have done the environment hardening, whether it is the cloud deployment or in-house deployment. So they have to do this environment handling and the operational enablement. So these are the four business functions. They play very critical role when you are moving from SDLC to SSLDSC, and they have to concentrate on their area of work or their security practices. Now let's talk about what additional things needs to be performed while moving from SDLC to SSDLC. Okay, so in system requirement phase, okay, the uh, the business analysts, they need to make sure that they are gathering the security requirement of the application. As I mentioned, that whether it is GDPR requirement or PDP requirement or any statutory requirement for RBI or any other requirement, so they have to gather the security requirement of the application. They have to analyze the application portfolio. Okay, and there they should be meeting at the same time the organization requirement policy on application security point of view. Okay, so your template, your requirement gathering template or project initiation template needs to be changed, and there should be section or there should be subsection to gather these kind of requirement of the application. And of course there are at each stage there should be checkpoint or toll gate. So there should be a review on security requirement and user risk analysis has to be performed. So these are the additional things you need to perform during the system requirement phase, in addition to what visually we do for the system requirement. So when you move to the design phase, the design phase, the architecture team, they need to identify the asset for the attack surface. They have to find out what are the attack actors and vector. Okay, so based on the security requirement, the this attack actor, vector, the attack surface analysis, they have to come up with the security controls, and they have to start configuring those security control in the design phase itself. So while architecting the system, they have to also look the security architecture of the application. They have to see the data security part also. Okay, so if the data, whether the data is in transit or it is in a rest or it is used, whether it has been properly encrypted or not, whether authorized people have been given access to that data or not. So security, in security architecture, these areas has to be taken care. And of course, very important that they need to perform the threat modeling of the entire application. What are the checkpoint and toll gates for design phase? The architecture review has to be performed, and design risk in addition to the normal application risks to be analyzed. Okay, when the project move to the development phase, of course, the developer should be educated about the secure coding practices. Simple thing that the password should be encrypted, or all the important keys, okay, they should not be hard coded. all the secrets, it should not be hard coded. If it is required, it should be, encrypted properly. So they have been make sure that they are following the secure coding hygiene. Okay, they are following the secure coding standards and guidelines. And what are the checkpoints? That the manual code reviews to be performed, and the static code analysis has to be performed. So many organizations have automated SAST and DAST tool, okay, which has been integrated with the IDE that developers are using. So, if you see that the entire security assessment is embedded with the current development processes, so that lot of automation will reduce the burden, additional burden on the developer or, the other teams. So when you move to the testing phase, as we talk, that the security testing, vulnerability and penetration testing has to be performed in addition to the normal security testing, and the test reviews to be generated. For operation teams or the deployment team, they have to, make sure that they are monitoring the application security. They are having incident response in place. They are having the patch management, and the entire change management is properly documented and followed. So if there are small change in the requirement, then that small change has to go through, all these security toll gates and checkpoints, and still, they reach to the deployment. So that is also very, very important. Okay, so these are, at a very high level changes that needs to be done when you are moving from SDLC to SSDLC. So, guys, what are the takeaways from my session? So, takeaways are first, security is the function of quality management. They are the main stakeholder of the security. It is their responsibility, but development team, operation or testing team, they are also equally important. But the main responsibility lies with the quality management team. See, we have to keep in mind that the security is not, one step process. It is a continuous process. Okay. So early detection of the security risk definitely, reduce the cost and overall cost and impact of that security risk. Okay. It is very, very important to have security checkpoints and toll gates throughout the SDLC. That is a one of the way to, control or to make sure that the entire security assessment has been followed throughout the SDLC. In SDLC, in SSDLC, it's very important to define the role and responsibilities. Okay, and focusing on training and education is equally important. Okay, it has been it has been checked that 80 with SSDLC there are 80% decrease in critical vulnerabilities. So it is baseline, there should be baseline skill set for the secure development practices, and this SSDLC is adoptable in any software development methodology, be it waterfall methodology or Scrum or Agile, whatever. So it is very straightforward to follow it. So I think you have enjoyed my session. I'm able to add value to your knowledge on SDLC. Again, thank you, the organization team, for giving me this opportunity. If you have any queries, any question, feel free to talk to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Manisha, for sharing the wonderful insights. Anyone, if you have any questions for her, please do feel free to reach out to her. She is available on LinkedIn and Twitter, Manisha Chougule. I am sure she'll be very happy to take up any questions that you might have. Thank you, and stay tuned for more sessions in the upcoming weeks. Thank you.